Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Kumara Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Kumara Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Guru Rama, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Guru Rama. Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namae. Ora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namae. Ora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Haribol, Krishna Haribol.
Devotional service begins when one comes in contact with the representative of the Supreme Person and follows his instruction. Meaning, he now engages himself, do and follow the instruction of God under the guidance of His loving, confidential servant. At that time, devotional service begins because it's one's surrender, one's life, following, offering His activities in devotion. Because devotion is connected with our life, our love. Huh? So one time, my friend was telling us, I will not accept a bona fide spiritual master because I might not be able to do and follow his instruction. I just carry on, chanting and reading. Yeah, that's fine. But the crux in spiritual life is when one follows the teachings of God. Do the will of God. Let's be direct. No more turning around the bush, about where is happiness, all of this. The crux or the bottom line is to do the will of God. And the instruction of Lord Krsna, one must follow, give his life to his representative, which is none different from him, none other than him. Achinta Veda Veda Tatva, simultaneously one but different. His will is the will of God. His love is Lord Krishna. And is the love of Lord Krishna. So that's about spiritual life. So, we must assess ourselves. Just like this year, what do businessmen do? Corporate organization, businessmen. They will be assessing if their business is growing. You know, did they earn a lot? You know, did they make money? You know, and they begin to see what happened. You know, what are the factors that now? Last year, we were able to earn, you know, every month, $1 billion a month, you know. Now, how come it's not even 30% of that? Why? So there are many factors. And they have to, you know, assess, try to figure out, brainstorm how they can move forward. You know? How to get more money. So when we here, we're also discussing about our life. So we will be discussing transcendental activities. Engage, not just acted, live by the saintly person. Maharaja Pariksit, the great saintly king, he has 7 days to live, you know. And he asked his saintly advisor, the saintly person, what will I do in 7 days? I have to leave the body. What activities I should be engaging in, you know? And they said, listen to Sukadev Goswami, the disciple of Narada Muni. And hear from him about the eternal glories and pastimes of the Supreme Person that is transcendental. It is about the activities of the Supreme Person in loving reciprocation with his pure confidential friend. And that's why there's Srimad Bhagavatam written in English, translated in English by our instructing spiritual master, His Divine Grace, si Bhaktivedanta Swami. So ngayon, may mga tao, kagaya mo, kaibigan kita, sabi mo, hindi mo na ako magtatanggap ng spiritual master, baka hindi ko magawa yung gusto niya. Then you should not. You should not. You study first. Meaning, you stay in this miserable world for so long muna. You know? You stay in the prison house. You know? Try to experience more, you know, all the experience of this world. And every year, we have programs wherein it's called celebration during the New Year. But what's new? No? What's new? Nothing new. But the inevitable will always be there. You have to leave the body. The body will die. You have to leave the body. What will you do? You have no guide. For so long, your guide has been your mind, yourself. And we were not all-powerful. We're not really very intelligent. We're not self-sufficient. We're not God. But we have this freedom to make a choice. So we made a choice to do our own will. That's the point. Our own will. And in the process, how to do our own will? We now model in this temporary world made of matter and try to use this field of activity, this body we have, And the venue will be this material world. And we get entangled. Because we have this body, the body is connected with time. We have to face what is inevitable. We have to leave the body. And not only that, we are experiencing so much disconnection from life. The source of love, the supreme person, the cause of all causes, the self-sufficient, eternal friend who loves us eternally. It's all about love. It's not about following rituals. Hindi yun yung akala mo, oy, sumama ako dito sa grupo. Member na ako, I got it made. No, it's not like that. Because I'm just laying down, the foundation so you can have this clear understanding. Sinasabi ko lang sa inyo, hindi spiritual life joining the group. Hindi ang spiritual life just following the rituals. Kasi rituals madali lang You go to the church, for example. You bow down, you kneel down, you sing, oh, hallelujah, hallelujah, Okay, you sing songs of sentiment. But it's all connected with a longing for protection, for shelter, for love. Hindi ba that's the reality? You go to church, but how come when you leave the church, you're not thinking anymore of God? Because we have been so conditioned to do our own will. That's a problem. It's all about us. Me, the man, So when we come in contact with the science, we have this misconception and understanding. Meron tayong misconception and understanding. Oh, I'm just gonna do the rituals, Everything, tip-tap, follow everything, rules and regulation. But the question is this. Did you come to the point of really doing the will of God? Or it's about your will, guided by your mind? It's all about you. So that's what will separate us. Yun ang magse-separate sa atin Kaya itong idea natin na hindi mo na ako mag-approach sa spiritual master, baka hindi ko magawa. Okay, fine. You can do that, kid. You can model in the mud. Kick. Every New Year, you have this fear, search for happiness where there is none because it's based upon an imagination, not really a foundation that is inherent in you. Your life, your love. Because after coming to the point of learning the wisdom, you come in contact through God's mercy, God's descent as a spiritual master, giving us the holy names that will purify our heart. Withdraw the mind away from matter. When we come in contact with the holy names, there is an experience of happiness because it's a connection with life. But the problem is our heart is so hard. We have been so contaminated. We are blind. We don't have this relationship really established because for so long we have been here conditioned. Iniisip natin, I'm the man. I do my will. Not understanding that actually in reality, you're not doing anything. You're just the person. Ikaw lang yung individual na nasa katawan na to. And material nature, who is under the control of God, decides everything. Especially when we are conditioned to identifying ourselves as this body, this disease, and this false ego that I am the man, I'm gonna do my own will. It's hard. So it's like this. When a person comes to the point at the end of his tether, he's in the jungle, it's burning. And there's this one path which may daan. Nasusunog yung jungle, nasa jungle tayo. Habang nasusunog yung jungle, ano yung reality habang nasusunog yung jungle? Nasusunog yung forest. Tapos, kailangan tumakbo ka ron para masave ka. Kasi kung hindi, paglingon mo, nando na yung lahat ng ahas, lahat ng lion, mga bupalo, elepante, patakbo, papunta dun sa pinto at nandun ka. Di ba? Nandun ka. Takbo ka palabas. Kasi mo, ang layo naman ito. Ang layo naman ito. Pero yun ang magsisave sa'yo. Babalik ka. Pagbalik mo, ano nakita mo? Nandyan na yung mga elepante na boom, boom, boom. Tamakan ka. So yun ang punto ko. It's crucial sa buhay natin na magdi-decide tayo ng accepting a bona fide spiritual master. You know? Kung ayaw pa natin, dahil baka hindi natin magawa, that's our problem. That's your problem, man. That's not our problem. Pero ang punto ko rito, hindi ibig sabihin, gusto mong, I'll accept you, Gurudev. Because it's a relationship. You know? It's not what you want. It's what God's want. Kung Krsna decides, okay, you become a disciple, then you become a disciple. He accepts you, He initiates you. But the problem is this, you are responsible. It's not that because hindi ang spiritual master ang responsible sa lahat na mangyayari sa'yo. He is the guiding principle. His life, His love will be the guiding principle. Our relationship with God. If we are filial, if we are trusting, we are thankful, we have this thankfulness, you know, really feeling this in our heart, thankfulness for taking care of us by giving us instruction. So it's like this, okay, it's not that the spiritual master tells you, you know, like for example, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, sinabi sa kanya ni Bhaktivinoda, okay, approach si Gorakishore Das Babaji. Pero pagpunta niya, sabi ni Gorakishore Das Babaji sa kanya, hindi kita matatanggap. I cannot accept you. Kasi the father of Bhaktisiddhanta, Bhaktivinoda Thakur tells him, go to Gorakishore Das Babaji and ask initiation from him. But we think initiation, because of our condition, akala natin nag-member ka ng Alpha Pi Kappa o kara Archetypa, yung Arnis at pamatay na Sipa, or join ka ng Apo, o kaya, ano ba yung, it's not like that, you know? Fraternity, it's not like that. You don't join. These are all nonsense. Kalokohan yun. You are not joining the military. You are not joining the organization. It's not like that. When you come in contact with the spiritual master, and he accepts you as a disciple, he gives you instruction, because that instruction will be the guiding principle in the right direction towards that world of purity, wherein the person, you, me, will now be completely surrendered. Come to the point of complete surrender and loving the Supreme Person. The goal of life is to surrender in love, not in fear. If you join a organization and hindi mo alam kung ano nangyayari, kaya yung utak nyo, puro question mark yan. Sasabihin, ganito ang solusyon. Pag naginawa mo na, may question mark. Walang period. Kasi hindi ikaw ang mind. Ang mind is not transcendental. It does not exist in the spiritual world. But you, the person who witness, who sees the mind, who can direct the mind under the guidance of God, is the person who is eternal, transcendental, the spirit soul. But you must realize that. You must understand that. Now, kung ayaw mo umalis dito na yung tawag nilang cycle of birth and death, ano ba yung cycle of birth and death? 9 months ka lang parati sa tiyan. Paglabas mo, lalaki ka, attach ka sa, for example, attach ka rito sa United States of California. Pinanganak ka ngayon, nakakita ka ng Pilipina. O kaya Chinese. Yung mind mo, inisip mo, Chinese, beautiful, chinky eyes, you know? What do they call? She's beautiful. Then you leave the body. Your mind is, focus upon that person. And you're given a human form of body. Nabigyan ka ng katawan ng pero pinanganak ka sa China. No? Mag-umpisa ka na uli. Paglabas mo, hindi ka marunong magsalita ng Mandarin. No? Hindi ka makalakad. Nasa lugar ka kung saan yung pinanganak ka sa Yunan, kung saan yung lumabas yung COVID, MERS, SARS, babalik ka lang doon. Pero pag sawa ka na, bugbog sarado ka na, enough of this. Enough. I want to be experiencing this security in my heart, this shelter, this protection, because I'm not self-sufficient. I'm lost, I'm blind. I don't know where I'm going. My mind is so crazy, directing me. Because the mind is where illusion or Maya plays around, gives you impetus, the desire that you follow. Like an abyss you're trying to fill up. So yun ang punto ko. When you come in contact with the spiritual master, you're given this opportunity. Okay, he takes responsibility to guide you. So ganito yan. Si Bhakti Siddhanta, nung hindi siya tinanggap ni Gorakishore Das Babaji, sa una, sabi niya, sinabi niya, nalaman ng mga contemporaries niya, paano yun? Di ba ikaw yung pinakamatalino? Bhakti Siddhanta, But he knows, without him, without Krishna, without following my Father, the representative of God, His divine grace, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what's the value? What's the point of living? So he went back. My dear spiritual master, if you don't accept me, then I'd rather commit suicide. So kung halimbawa, iniisip mo, hindi ko naman kailangan spiritual master muna, baka hindi ko magawa gusto niya. Anong pinopoint out nun? You are the man, You are still servant of your senses. You want to do your will. Then you can stay in this miserable world, if you like, eternally. But when you're tired, you approach a bona fide spiritual master. And pag binigyan ka ng opportunity to be given instruction, you should be very focused. Just like nabigyan ka ng opportunity na umalis dito sa jungle, na nandyan na lahat at may daan. Sinabi sa'yo, dito ka dumaan. Kundi matatamakan ka ng mga leon, tsaka mga elepante, makain ka pa dyan. At nasusunog yan. Kaya tumatakbo lahat sila. Babalik ka. I'll just go back. Paano nangyayari yan? Dito sa mundo, tignan nyo Through sense perception, nagkaroon ka ng attraction sa opposite sex. Naging asawa mo siya. Kasi nga, inisip mo ikaw yung katawan. You're a human being. And it's natural na pag nasa katawan ka lalaki, you'll be attracted to the opposite sex. Kasi yun ang process ng progeny na inarrange si Lord Brahma under the three modes of material nature. Ano yun, di ba? So what happened is, ganito. Iniwan ka nun, sumama sa ibang lalaki. Di ba? Malungkot ka ngayon dahil yung puso mo, yung buhay mo, kinuha niya Naglalakad ka, buo, pero walang laman yung puso mo. Kasi yung pag-ibig mo, binigay mo sa kanya. Kinuha niya, yun ang naging focus mo. Pero sasabihin ng mind, subukan mo uli, maghanap ka uli ng mas maganda pa sa kanya, mas mabait pa sa kanya. It will be sweeter the next time. Nakakita ka na naman. Siya na. She's the woman of my life, And sumasayaw This girl is burning, She's on fire. I like her. Siya ang gusto ko. Because she's on fire, she explodes. Runs again. Go to another man. With another man. Nandun na naman, sabi ng mind. The third time around. Every time you follow the mind, you suffer. So that's the point. Yun ang problema. Kasi hindi talaga natin gusto ibigay yung buhay natin sa Diyos. Pero ang totoo, ang buhay natin ay connected sa pag-ibig at pagmamahal ng Diyos. Yun yung tinatawag natin harmony. We should be in harmony with God, with His love. Kaya lang, may will tayo na misuse natin yung freedom na yon. Kaya marami nagsasabi sa atin dito, halimbawa, New Year naman nandito ako sa United States of California, kasama ko yung mga devotees. I have the freedom, to do what service I want. Fine, you can do that. But we should follow the path of those who have succeeded. Yun ang sundin natin. At hindi lang to, ang pinakamalupit nito is this. You come in contact with the devotee of God, naging disciple ka, it's like you go to the hospital and the doctor tells you, your disease. You have this disease condition that you have to undergo surgery. Kailangan operahan ka. Isip mo, paano gagawin ka? Operahan ka. So gagawin mo, operahan ka. He gives you instruction, He gives you instruction. Okay, dito ka muna, under operation ka. So ang gagawin mo, under operation, habang ino-opera ka, siyempre, may mga anesthesia, nakikita mo, binuksan yung tiyan mo. Nakita mo yung tiyan mo. Nandun yung bitukan mo, may cancer. Kailangan alisin yung tumor. Inisip mo, why am I here? Ba't ako nandito? Ba't ko sinusunod tao na to? Pero pumunta ka sa ospital para magpagamot, para alisin yung cancer. Operahan ka. So ginawa mo, tumayo ka. Bukas yung tiyan mo. Bukas yung tiyan mo. Yung bituka mo nahuhulog. Yung dugo tumatapon. Dahil nagpanik ka. So hanggat hindi tayo hindi convinced na kinumbins lang natin yung sarili natin. When you have this vision and understanding, this is the representative of God. I follow Him, I follow God. I love Him, I love Krishna. Because connection with Him is love for Krishna. And that sweetness is my protection. That's what will protect us to become Goswami, to be master of our senses, to not follow the dictates of illusion. Because we have a relationship. We want it to be very close. And we don't follow the mind. So what will happen if you don't follow, hindi mo ginawa instruction ng spiritual master? Ano mangyayari sa'yo? Tatakbo ka doon, yung bituka mo nakalabas. Hindi pa nagsimula, nagamutin ka, patay ka na. Kasi sinunod mo yung mind mo. Sinunod mo yung senses mo. Hindi ganun kadali ang spiritual life. Hindi ganun ka-cheap ang spiritual master. Kaya nga hindi joining ang spiritual life. We're eternally connected with God. Kaya lang mayroon nakatabon sa atin all this covering of illusion. We think we're the body. We think we're self-sufficient. This false ego, it should be cut. Yun yung process that can be addressed by the holy names, by God Himself. Pero hindi man natin gusto ganon, di ba? The whole year, di ba? We sing, okay, New Year! New Year! What's New Year? It's all calendar, it's all numbers. You're facing in front of you the rising and the setting of the sun. This is the planet of death. Everybody dies here. There's nothing new. But because of our conditioning, kaya nangyayari, iniisip natin, we're always thinking, okay, next year, next year. But let's be focused. Let's now get to reality, not this illusion directed by the mind. Let's gamitin natin ngayon. Number one, tanungin natin, maging matalino tayo. Sino ako? Who am I? Why am I here? Why am I here? What is that? What is happiness? What is love? Because I'm blind. Whom will I follow? Sino susundin ko? Di ba? So, spiritual life, it's not an easy process. Kaya nga tanungin nyo, 6 billion people here. Nearly 7 billion. Who wants to cross that road when the crux of spiritual life is there, to make a decision in the right direction, But because we have been conditioned, we don't want to take the walk. That's why easy to join. Mas madaling, oh, I'll join. You know, I'll follow you. I become a member. That's nonsense. Because that person is also under the jurisdiction of the elements of time, birth, death, disease, and knowledge. So the bona fide spiritual master does not pose himself as God, but rather, he teaches us about our true transcendental nature. Tinuturuan niya tayo. And when we connect with God through His teachings, and that is the beauty of serving, having a bona fide spiritual master. Because it's Krishna's promise. The spiritual master is pure loving servant, is the love of his life. So Krishna tells us, sinasabi ni Krishna, abandon all varieties of religion. Ano yung varieties of religion na yan? Surrender to the organization. Following somebody who is not really the representative of God. Following the rituals as the end itself. Madali lang yan eh. Madali lang lumuhod. Maglagay ng bakal, araw, linggo-linggo. Ang tanong, ano talaga yung na-achieve natin? It's a serious matter, because it's about your life, about your happiness. Hindi biro to. And not only that, through the example of Maharaja Pariksit, he has 7 days to live. Tayo ngayon, New Year, inisip natin. Because we are eternal, inisip natin, another year. But our situation is we're in this temporary body. We are eternal. So why not live in that word of eternality in our true natural situation, like a fish back in the water? Why not leave that world? Instead of trying to imagine, we are all blind. Let's be practical, All of you are ignorant. If a person doesn't know his true identity, he cannot see the spirit soul life. He's blind. And who gives you this understanding? God Himself. To those, sa Supreme Person, Krishna will be the one to give us guidance. Kaya, tignan natin kung what separates us from that world. It's about our will. And what is that will? To do our own will. We want to play God. We love ourselves, We have become servant of the mind. And we're lost. And you come in contact with this process. But let's look at the life of Maharaja Pariksit. He is an emperor, very powerful person. He left his kingdom, all the encumbrances, that load, that anchor, beautiful wife, maid servants, comfort, shelter, kingdom with all the palaces. He left that because he understands in 7 days he will leave the body. It's a common cultural knowledge dati na alam nila they are not the body. Alam niya lahat ng nagpapabigat, iwan niya. Kasi aalis na siya, hindi niya madadala. Kung nag-identify ka sa katawan, nag-identify ka sa mind, alam mo, ang hirap. Kasi nga, hindi mo alam na natural sa'yo magmahal. Kaya lang yung pagmamahal mo, napunta not in harmony with the will of God. Sabi ni Lord Krishna, the Supreme Person, who came here, who in all scriptures, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, the goal of the Vedas, the goals of these rituals, you follow rituals, you join the organization. The goal is not to take shelter of the organization, but rather to take shelter, to be in harmony with the will of God. And what is that all about? One, Jesus Christ, Christmas is gone already. Yung Christmas, But the message is still there. Love the Father with thy whole heart, thy whole mind, thy whole being. So it's not about our world. But because we are so much attached to this body, the world, our security, Maharaja Pariksit, through his personal example, he's showing us, you're gonna leave everything behind, kid. Iwan mo lahat yan. Lahat yan mga tsapa, label, damit na holy man, followers, iwan mo lahat yan. Iiwan mo yan by force because you have to leave the body. And he knows that. But he wants to connect his life with the will of God. When Lord Krishna tells us, surrender unto me, love me, follow me. To those who are constantly devoted unto me, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. Understanding of what? Understanding of the organization? Understanding of the rituals? No. It's about His heart, His love for us. And that is devotional service and can be understood when we come in contact with someone who loves Him, a teacher by example. So, spiritual life is not a cheap thing. Spiritual master is not following the spiritual master. It's not a ritual that you follow like you join the army. You join a group. It is crucial because it will determine your success in life if you follow. Because the spiritual master will not walk for you. So we have this problem. Anong problem natin? We don't want to take the walk. Gusto natin, mag-join ako. You walk for me, kid. Save me. I'm in the organization. How many so-called religious organizations are gone already? How many? How many so-called gurus who try to play God are all gone? Goners. Those who are cheaters and who are blind, they're all gone. Will you follow a blind path? And you're blind. Whom will you follow? If you follow someone who's blind, bulag, wala rin eh. Because the person, a bona fide spiritual master, ang bona fide spiritual master, hindi niya sasabihin, I'm all powerful. Hindi niya gagawin yun. Kagaya ng ginagawa ng mga tao na the organization is all powerful and we are the organization. That's nonsense. Look at Lord Brahma and Narada Muni. Tignan nyo yung devotee ko ano. Ito, example. Tignan mo maigi ha, kaibigan. Si Narada Muni, nakita niya yung papa niya. Si Lord Brahma. Nag-worship araw-araw. He's so powerful. Lahat na nakikita nyo rito, ginawa ni Lord Brahma yan. Lahat na iba-ibang bananas, iba-ibang feeling. Same banana, but different feelings. Lahat yan. Spirit, soul covered by the material body. He's the creator. He provides us a dress, this human form, and dictated by the three modes of material nature. We are all blind, directed by a force greater than us. And it's not doing us good if we are not in harmony with the transcendental word of God's love and affection. That is the process of devotional service. Kaya very important. Meron tayong spiritual master. Hindi siya nagpo-post na, just follow me, Follow the rituals. Hindi niya gagawin yon. You must take the walk. You must purify your heart, your mind. And this is the process, God Himself. And the protection, what is that protection? Because when you come in contact, dumating ka sa point na nakita mo yung kaibigan ni Lord Krishna, ang spiritual master. You can see now. You can be pleasing to God by serving Him, loving Him, because yun ang instruction ni Krishna. Ano instruction ni Lord Krishna? One, must search a bona fide spiritual master. Surrender. Hindi yung surrender, I surrender. Surrender na ako. Hindi ganon. Surrender one's heart, one's life. Be faithful. Be convinced that this person, by God Himself showing me, even for a second, this is my representative. And we have that fortune, the transcendental fortune. Then, we go for it. So, Lord Brahma was asked by Narada Muni, my dear, after bowing down, my dear father, you're so great in the matter of creation. You're so wonderful. fantastic, Everything you do is so wonderful. Can I ask you one question, my dear father? Yes, my dear son. Every time I see you worshiping someone, who is that person? Is there someone above you? And then Lord Brahma, our spiritual master, is so happy telling, I'm very happy you have asked that question. Because now I can glorify the Supreme Person. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. So, the song of Lord Brahma glorifying Lord Krsna, his relationship with his devotees, the transcendental world, where every activities is in purity, transcending this material world, a world of happiness, when one's heart is in meditation with that world, that is affection for the Supreme Person. And who can teach that? Sino magtuturo sa atin? The pure loving servant of God, the spiritual master. He may be very simple, but he has the power because Krishna promised he's the love of Krishna. So if you follow your spiritual master, is a devotee, a pure loving servant of Krishna, you enter that world. That is devotional service. It's not organization. You can, mapudpud na lang yung tuhod mo sa kakagapang, sa kakalugdo. Damit mo, maging ukay na lang yun. Hanggang yung katawan mo, iwan mo. Kung yun ang akala mo, you're in the wrong direction. But if the process leads you to remember God, to understand your identity, na mapunta ka sa sitwasyon na, now, I will accept a bona fide spiritual master. But it will depend upon God. Hindi kung anong gusto mo rin. He knows your heart. So this is illusion. This is nonsense. When you think na, okay, I will not accept a bona fide spiritual master. Anyway, I'll just follow. I read all the scriptures. Then what happens? You will fail. Why? You become greedy for knowledge. You try to accumulate knowledge. I read all the Vedas. Rig, Sama, Yur, Eber, What? You can read the Bhagavad Gita back to back. Srimad Bhagavatam back to back with your mind, not receiving it from someone who knows the sign of love of God. You will interpret it, and your interpretation will be with your mind. Kaya nga, nandiyan ka sa sitwasyon ngayon na binasa mo na, actually katunayan, binasa mo na yung Bhagavad Gita. Binasa mo na yung Srimad Bhagavatam. Pero ano naging conclusion sa buhay mo? Hindi na lang ako tatanggap ng spiritual master, baka hindi ko magawa. Anong point nun? That's a false ego. Nanagang ka pa rin sa sarili mo. Hindi ka talaga surrendered eh. You're not really giving your life to God. You're not really loving God. Who's the love of your life? Yourself, your mind, your impulse bodily identification, your false ego. But how can you understand that? When you use that ascending method, your mind, the process is descending. That's why Maharaja Pariksit, alam niya 7 days na lang. Tayo, alam mo ba hanggang bukas buhay ka pa? Sino may kontrata sa inyo rito? Sino? Who has the contract that there will be another 100 years pa? Because, I'm vegan, I clean the environment, I eat food and everything. I'm vegan. Who cares? I'm vegetarian, I'm a member of this group. You have guarantee that you're gonna live? But if you're intelligent, you know that everything you're gonna leave behind. And through following the saintly person, Maharaja Pariksit, not follow an asshole, not jackass. Follow the devotee of God, the pure loving servant. And stated in Scripture, their lives, the path they treaded, that they became successful. It is connected in following the instruction of the spiritual master. His instruction is his love for you. He wants to protect you, to bring you to a world under God's love and protection. And that will be your success. Because it's about a relationship with God. For example, tingnan nyo maigi halimbawa, karamihan sa inyo, tayo lahat nandito sa mundo na to. Instruction sa atin, mag-chant. Di ba? We're given instruction by our spiritual master to chant. To whoever we meet, pass the holy names. But if we are not making progress, you're put in a situation, a very far place. For example, you go to a city, and then you have a center there. And you know the center, when previously you're in the body of a young man, and wow, so that's why when we have this program, young brahmacharis, who are celibate and everything, they're so attractive. And they're really intelligent, And they speak and they talk, give the holy name, chant every day. A lot of young girls comes there, Oh, they see you, and then you begin to see, wow, beautiful girls, And then when you're alone and all the girls are there, and this girl, but you're not seeing that person as a child of God. You're just seeing the form, the skin deep beauty, and your happiness. You're not really experiencing a connection of doing faithfully. That relationship is not so tight that the instruction that has been given to us is our connection with our love, our trustworthiness, our faith, our honesty of that relationship that the spiritual master is guiding us. The mind will tell you, sasabihin ng mind, wala naman nakakakita. Walang nakakakita. Then, may kasabihan. Pag yung mantikilya, butter, nadikit sa apoy, matutunaw. Inisip mo, I'm more powerful, I joined the organization. I'm a great man. So what happened? Immediately, matunaw ka. You will be modeling naman, trying to enjoy where there's none. And not only that, hindi mo nakikita na yung field of activity, itong body na ginagamit mo para pigiin yung happiness, hindi ikaw. At yun yung pinipiga mo para kainin, exploit, eat this person. Hindi naman din siya ang katawan. Yung katawan lang na, pag binuksan mo, hindi ka nakakakita ng ganon. And not only that, kawawa na nga yung person. Kawawa na nga, nalulunod na. Kaya mo pang lunurin? Then, you're really, you have achieved, something that's bizarre. You're dead. You have no spiritual life. Because spiritual life is a relationship with God. He sees you. He knows you. And hindi mo na kailangan magpakita na perfect ka, pure ka. All you got to do is follow the process. And it's about a relationship. Halimbawa, ganito yung mother, nandyan, nakatayo. Yung anak niya, nakita niya, yung pitaka binuksan. Kumuha ng pera. Tapos sabi niya, nandito na yung magbabayad ng kuryente. Sinong kumuha ng pambayad ng kuryente dito? Tapos yung anak niya na tinatrash niya, hindi ko alam, mami. Pero nakita niya. So sa spiritual life natin, sa pag-practice, God sees us. He knows our weakness. We don't need to show we're perfect. Ano ang gagawin natin? We must humble ourselves. Be in the state ng instruction ni Lord Chaitanya. Ano yung state na yon? One can chant the holy name in a humble state of mind, feeling himself lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than the tree, and devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy names of the Lord constantly. Pag nakatagpo ka talaga ng tunay na spiritual master who's a lover of God. We're not talking here of a position, maraming followers. He's a spiritual master kasi may 20 million siyang followers. Hindi ganon. Someone whose heart, whose love is God. And you begin to see that. I want what he has. I want to follow him to achieve what he have achieved. So that is the situation of Maharaja Pariksit. He knows he has 7 days to live. Alam niya may 7 days to live siya. In his body. So what he did, he sat down and listened to Sukadeva Goswami about the eternal transcendental pastimes of God, and the process made him very close with that love and shelter, and he began for 7 days and 7 nights. Hindi siya kumain, hindi siya natulog, nakinig lang siya. At habang nakikinig siya, it becomes more sweeter and sweeter, and he inquired more. And that is the association we're talking about, associating with the devotees of God, glorifying God. And every time he asks questions to Sukadeva Goswami, Sukadeva Goswami is very happy to glorify and speak about the glories of God. And it becomes, two individuals eating a feast that satisfies one's heart. No more fear. There's nothing more to be gained. So you understand? So it's an experiential experience when you come in contact with the spiritual master, and if you're accepted by God and you're initiated, you have to do the work. Hindi na, I'm initiated, I'm a disciple, I have this Brahman thread, I'm a sannyasi. Go deeper. What is a sannyasi? Someone who renounces everything, who is completely dependent upon God. Sukadeva Goswami is a sannyasi because he's completely surrendered to the Supreme Person. Maharaj Pariksit is a sannyasi because a sannyasi is someone who's completely surrendered to God. Don't ever think na sannyasi is, I wear this tree dandi, I hold this tree dandi, this Brahman thread, and I speak. No, that's not. It cannot change people's heart. What can change people's heart is hearing this transcendental message descending and listening carefully and passing on what you have heard. What you have heard, pass it on. Because it's living knowledge. So when the disciple, tayo, ako, nakinig sa spiritual master natin, nakinig tayo ng living knowledge, and in our heart, we want to do the will of God, to serve God. Krsna tells us, to those who are constantly devoted to me, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. Kung sino man yung sumurrender, bibigyan ko sila ng karunungan. Who remembers past, present, and future? God. That living knowledge, you have heard that 50 years ago. And Krishna lets you remember. Because you follow this instruction. Ano yung sabi ni Lord Krishna? Abandon all varieties of religion. Anong sabi ni Lord Krishna? Iwan mo lahat yan. Iwan mo yung group. Lahat ng religion mo, yung shelter mo. I'll protect you. Pero inisip mo, hindi ko pa kaya. I have to do my own will. Okay, fine kid. Fine. Gusto mong gawin yon? Just study more. Muddle in the mud. Swim with the sharks, with the octopus, get stuck in the spider web with your senses, become servant of the mind, follow the senses, use this body, misuse your human form of life. The opportunity to be able to chant, the opportunity to be able to do the will of God, to make a decision. New Year na eh. Pero wala naman sinabi, yung New Year, baka bukas, tigbak ka na, patay ka na. So doon natin makikita kung gaano tayo ka-selfish, gaano tayo kabulag. So don't try to put yourself in illusion like the alam niyo yung rabbit, alam mo yung rabbit? Pag nandyan na yung wolf, anong gagawin ng rabbit? Pikit yung mata niya. There's no danger. Anong gagawin ng ostrich? Pag nandyan na yung kakain sa kanya, pasok niya yung ulo niya sa ilalim. walang makaka-hurt sa akin. Walang makaka-hurt. Hindi ba nyo nakikita? Time and tide waits for no man. New Year. What is New Year all about? Nabawasan na lang 1 taon. Kung halimbawa, sa katawan na to hanggang, 64. Ako, 63 na ngayon. Alam ko, 1 taon na lang, alis na rin ako. Pero wala na akong guarantee na, in 1 year, alis ako. Walang contract. Walang contract. So, crucial masyado that ang success natin, ang tagumpay natin sa spiritual life is following the instruction of the spiritual master. Don't ever think na the spiritual master, they ask you, okay, my dear student, why do you chant? You don't answer because it's devotional service. It's about love for God. No. He instructs you to chant. It will be the beginning. It will be the end. It will be the solution. To be connected. Wala ka pa naman dun eh. Nagcha-chant ka, nagbabasa ka ng scripture. Di ba? Pero ang pinaka-importante is to do the will of God. Sinabi ni Krsna, find a bona fide spiritual master. Ano yung qualification ng bona fide spiritual master? His loving servant. The dearmost, his love of life. And the spiritual master, his love, his life is Krsna. That's a scripture sa lahat yun. Sabi ni Lord Krsna, there will be no one dearer to me than someone who's speaking my glories. Like Sukadev Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Mrigari, Haridas Thakur, they're very dear to Lord Krsna. And declare it boldly, my devotee never perish. Walang makakagalaw sa devotee ko. Look at all the great Vaishnavas, Prahlad Maharaj, in a body of a young boy, he's transcendental to this miserable world. Nobody can touch him. Nobody can hurt him. You know? Because you're immortal. This body that you have, you are not the body. But because you're been identifying with this body, this dominion, trying to lord over this field of activity and this world, made your heart very hard. You're blind. Blind as a bat. Blinder than the bat. So the point is this, spiritual master is not a cheap thing. Following the spiritual masters is not joining the group, but rather taking the walk, live the life that the spiritual master is living, loving Krsna, the will of God. Yun ang dapat. If you're in that meditation, day out, day in, you're not of this world. You may be in this body, but your heart, your life is connected with the lotus feet of the spiritual master, because his love, his teaching is inseparable. That is your protection. That when you go out, the mind will tell you, try to enjoy it. No. You have now one master, the love of your life, your spiritual master in Krsna. That is perfection. And every day you see how you fall far short. And what you should do, you don't make believe that, getting closer to God is trying to inch your way up in that ladder of the organization to be, in the ladder of so-called managerial situation where you are now in control of the organization because you're an appointed manager or an appointed so-called guru. You have wormed yourself and tried to have this cabal, this group of cliques who agrees with you because birds of the same feathers are of the same birds, This is all nonsense. This is illusion and maya. There's only one factor, transcendental factor, that we must be understanding and achieving. Our transcendental nature, our transcendental position and function, and enter that world of doing the will of God. Yun lang. Yun ang turo ni Jesus eh. But if you want to sell your soul to the devil, then that's fine. You want to become enemies of the cross, fine, you meditate upon this world. You do your own will. You're not in that world. Don't make believe. Because your connection, your protection is not under the shelter of God. It's with dead world. And when the devotee is feeling humbleness, I am a small person. I'm limited. I'm lost. But Krishna loves me. My spiritual loves me. I take shelter and beg, please, let me be directed upon that path to desire more, to desire to serve and love you. That should be our advocacy in our life. Yun dapat. Is it clear to you? Kaya dapat may guidance tayo na ang pagbabasa natin ng scripture, hindi lang yun. Inisip natin, oh, matalino ako. Tignan nyo si Maharaja Sutta, disciple ni Lord Vyasadeva, nakaupo sa Vyasasan. Naintindihan ba niya ang Vedas? Ano ang ibig sabihin ng Vedas? Ano ang conclusion ng Vedas? To know and love God. Pero nandun siya, dumating si Krishna, hindi niya nakita. Dumating si Lord Balaram, non-different from Krishna, hindi niya nakita, kaya pinatay siya. You know? So, this path, you're blind, now you have someone who's holding your heart. Not holding your heart, your life. Because you have offered your heart, your life, to someone who loves you unconditionally. You don't have to make believe because He sees you. You understand? You're convinced, not because you have convinced yourself. Just like the rabbit, the danger is there. He convinced himself. I close my eyes. No. You see the problem with an open eyes. Because you now understand, time is moving so fast. Dumadaan yung oras. A lot of people have left the body. Look at the cemetery. And with this big bang, what is that all about? We're so empty, we want to explode. And then New Year, and they have this process, this program wherein, let's chant, let's send our kids to this institution. Then every New Year or after 1 month, they can just give them a day so they can sleep. Not thinking of anything. No, we must become aware every day. And when you're loving Krishna, the more you want. Your unsatiated longing for happiness directed upon this empty world is now directed upon that love and the sweetness of doing the will of God. The more you are moving forward, the more you want it. That's why you can see in our lives, it's a hard world. We live encumbered by this body. But we have been given this guidance. Binigyan tayo. So, meaning, you do the walk. Lahat ng sacrifice, austerity, chanting, going to the DTC. Mahirap kasi yung katawan mo. Yan yung nag-separate sa'yo eh. But now you become master of your senses. You become a Goswami. You can control the mind, direct the mind because of your love for your spiritual master in Krishna, doing their will. That's spiritual life. Not all this fancy thing, Okay, let's pray together. That's nonsense. Because time waits for no man. Time and tide waits for no man. That's a reality. And don't misuse this opportunity, the time, which is God's love. And this body is also God's love, putting you in a situation where you have this intelligence. You can use it to connect with that love. And be purified from all these encumbrances, wherein you can now use this body to connect yourself in harmony, in devotion with God. That's spiritual life, not joining, not reading all the scriptures. But if it can help you, then that's fine. We're not saying you should not do that. But don't make it a goal that you can, somebody talks to you like a dictionary, a living dictionary, like someone who parrot everything. You know what's a parrot? Or monkey see, monkey do. You should not be like that. You should live the life. That's all. You must take the walk. You don't want to take the walk, you follow the mind, that's fine also. But look at those who succeeded. Maharaja Pariksit. look at their lives and activities. Now, if you desire in your life, I want to enter that world, then it's open now. The science that is descending, coming from Parampara, coming from our spiritual master, he's guiding us. Follow him, then you're following God. That's all. His will is the will of God. You do his will, you're doing the will of God.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Ora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Messiah. Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Ora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Messiah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayana. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga. Haribol Nitai Gaur. Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Prabhu Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Haribol Nitai Gaur. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, 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 Madana Mohana.